All right, and in fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is on a 5-day visit to Japan, is now in fact reached the Toji Temple over there, the Buddhist temple that he was expected to reach. Remember, it's a little after 10 to 11 a.m. in the morning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi with senior dignitaries along with his delegation that is accompanying him to Japan. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe accompanying the Prime Minister to the temple in Kyoto. The Buddhist temple has been one of the very important spots in the itinerary of the Prime Minister. Now, this after a fruitful first day in Japan, Narendra Modi has now kicked off his second day visiting Kyoto's historic Toji Temple. Narendra Modi has started day 2 of his trip to Japan with a visit to this Buddhist temple over there. He's accompanied by his Japanese counterpart Shinzo Abe. Modi will also visit the Kyoto University Center, but that's later on, which focuses on stem cell research, another area of cooperation that he wants to cement with Japan. We've been getting you ground reports from Japan over the past 2 days now. Our correspondent on the ground getting you all the latest developments. A huge delegation accompanying both Prime Ministers of India and Japan in the serene Buddhist temple in Kyoto. It is the Toji Temple. This much talked about visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the first bilateral visit of the Prime Minister outside of the subcontinent, holding a very special significance for India and Japan ties over there, expecting several big ticket announcements. Aditi Fadna is joining me over the telephone line. Aditi, very symbolic gesture over here. You're seeing the Prime Ministers of India and Japan walking side by side inside of this very serene Buddhist temple in Japan.
Yes, and I remember Shinzo and Modi. They have always shared a very warm relationship and cordial relations. Modi landed yesterday, and as soon as he landed on day 1 itself, you saw the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the Japanese PM to turn Varanasi into a smart city with help from Kyoto. And this pact, which was signed yesterday, is completely in line with Modi's vision of building the 100 smart cities across India, which he has been talking about in the recent past. And Kyoto is likely to provide cooperation in a lot of fields. In the field of conservation and modernization of cities, as well as in terms of art, culture, academics, and so on and so forth. This is, of course, now today's day 2 of the meeting of Modi's visit now, and today is again another power-packed day. There is going to be substantive summit meetings in Tokyo on September 1. During which the two sides will look at ways to take the strategic and global partnership between India and Japan forward.
Absolutely, Aditi. Several key, meetings lined up over the next few days, in fact, in this 5-day visit. But, one thing that is common between India and Japan, and especially Shinzo Abe and Narendra Modi, is the strong political mandate that these two leaders have. And hence that opens up a broad range of areas where they can really cement their partnership and take Indo-Japanese ties to a whole new level. That's really what's being looked at in this visit of Narendra Modi, isn't it?
Absolutely, Sana. In fact, India has great expectations from this visit. The External Affairs Ministry, in fact, a couple of days ago has said that they are looking forward to cooperation in a number of areas, including defense, civil nuclear, infrastructure development, and even rare earth materials. So all these are expected to top the agenda of discussions between the Japanese Premier and the Indian Prime Minister. And some key agreements, including in defense and civil nuclear deals, are also expected to be signed.
Absolutely. Aditi Prasad, my colleague on the phone line. Aditi, hang on with us. Let's just focus on these visuals that we're getting. we just saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Shinzo Abe both, stopping for a moment there and waving to the media contingent that is tracking all these developments very closely. But I believe now they're leading inside of the temple premises, where I doubted if the media would be allowed, because it is, remember, a Buddhist temple, and we also saw a monk who is accompanying both the Prime Ministers over there. And there you see Narendra Modi and Shinzo Abe, they've gone inside the temple premises almost now. They're at the outside of the Toji Temple, but inside of the complex. We're expecting him to visit there for a short while, perhaps in that serene environment.
Excuse me. Hello, Didi.
Aditi, also let's talk about the symbolism of this particular visit.
Quite a lot of symbolism there, Sana. In fact, PM Modi on day one of his visit, he took to social media amid his jam-packed schedule during the 5-day visit to share the details of his first day in Japan. And of course, he is a major Twitter avid Twitter fan, and of course he shares most things on Twitter, and he has shared details about his interactions with Shinzo Abe, and both he's written that both of us are very optimistic about scripting a new chapter in the strong bond between India and Japan.
Aditi. In fact, it seems like the Prime Minister is outside of the premises of the Toji Temple now. Gaurav Sawant, he is tracking developments for us from Kyoto, joining me live right now. Gaurav, describe to us what you saw, the body language of the two Prime Ministers, the entire visit to the historic Toji Temple.
The two Prime Ministers are personal friends, and the chemistry was there for all to see. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe received Prime Minister Narendra Modi here at the Toji Temple complex. There was a sizable crowd of both Indian and Japanese Buddhists and others here at the temple. They welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You could see several people waving the Indian tricolour, saying Modi-san, Modi-san. That's Japanese for Mr. Modi, Mr. Modi. He went out, he met the crowd, and then with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, they entered the Toji Temple complex, and there is a huge statue of Gautam Buddha, of Bhagwan Buddha here at the Toji Temple, and this is an 8th century statue of Lord Buddha. Both the Prime Ministers went, they prayed there, then they walked along the temple complex, that high pagoda, that 5-story high pagoda, which is 187 feet high. Both the Prime Ministers went inside the temple. There you have 4 statues of Gautam Buddha with 8 devotees of his, and it's been here, as many historians say, since the 8th century AD. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's effort to culturally link India and Japan, and more important, Sana, he insists that the next generation needs to come together. They need to have a bond. That was his effort. They walked around the temple complex. There is also the Kondo Temple, which is built on the Indian architecture style. Once again, an 8th century Buddhist temple. Now, these temples, because of lightning in this area, they were burnt down 4 times, rebuilt for the last time in 1644 AD. The two Prime Ministers walked around here, spent about half an hour plus, and now Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on his way to the Kenkoji Temple. He'll also, of course, in between stop at the Kyoto University for cutting-edge stem cell research. There's a presentation being made for him there. So it's an action-packed day for the Indian Prime Minister, Sana.
Absolutely, Gaurav. You talked about the symbolism of the visit to this particular temple, and you're telling our viewers that another temple visit is lined up over the next few hours. But as you mentioned, it's an action-packed day. Give us a sense, a little bit more detail about what's Prime Minister Modi's program for the rest of the day now.
Sana, for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, this was a personal endeavor. His parliamentary constituency is Kashi, linking it to Kyoto. That agreement was signed yesterday between the mayor of Kyoto, Kako Kadawa, and Indian ambassador to Japan, Deepa Gopalan Wadhwa. Now, how will that agreement actually pan out on ground is the effort, and the mayor of Kyoto and the governor of Kyoto are coming and meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In fact, the mayor of Kyoto will make about a half-an-hour long presentation on how Kyoto was developed the way it has been, that it retains the 8th century AD culture, its history, the symbolism is all there, and yet it's a modern 21st century city. And this is a modern 21st century city. There are parameters of a smart city in terms of pollution. This is a zero pollution city, a very low carbon emission, very clean, very big focus on environment, water, electricity, IT connectivity. There are several parameters that decide what would be a smart city, and this is exactly what Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his team will try to learn lessons from here, to take lessons from here and see whether they're implementable in Kashi. Of course, there will be there'll be a lot of adaptations, there'll be a lot of changes in this, and that is something that the Prime Minister's team is working on. But in a time-bound manner, sources in the Prime Minister's office tell headlines today, they will just turn Kashi around into a modern 21st century city, retaining its old world charm, culture and heritage.
That would be fantastic as and when it unfolds, Gaurav. But also I wanted to bring in a little bit more about the overall visit of the Prime Minister. Now, you've been tracking developments very, very closely. Give us a sense of overall, is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit weighing more heavily on the economic aspect right now, or more on the socio-cultural, or it's a healthy mix of both?
This leg of his visit, which was added later to the itinerary, the Kyoto leg, was high on symbolism. This is where he wanted to culturally link the people of India and Japan, and especially the next generation. The next leg of his visit, which begins later this evening when he goes to Tokyo, and then tomorrow when he'll officially, ceremonially be received by the Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, when delegation level talks begin, when he calls on the Emperor of Japan, Emperor Akihito, when there are business level delegations, when India seeks massive right. Japanese investment in infrastructure projects in India. That is the big focus of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Equally important, Sana, is the strategic cooperation between India and Japan.
Absolutely, Gaurav. It's going to be a busy day for you as well. We will keep coming back to you for more on Narendra Modi's spa visit to Japan.